Hi guys, today we're going to go over approaching a text for the first time. So I'll give you kind of a general understanding of how to kind of look at a text for the first time, ask certain questions about it, and kind of get a basic interpretation. Okay, so here we just have a small little checklist that every person should kind of have when they first approach a text. So it's I am aware of the purposes for reading this text. So you know why your teacher gave you this text, what the main idea is about the text, and kind of what I'm supposed to gain out of this text. The next portion of the text or the checklist is I take note of key information about the text. So that means you understand kind of the key principles, the key ideas, and like the important details and facts that is going to be listed out throughout this text. And so reading closely begins by considering many or my specific purposes for reading and important information about text. So that's kind of just how you're supposed to approach every text. Here we have the guiding questions that you should have in your head whenever you're approaching a text. So going back to the checklist, it's kind of divided up into those two categories of the purposes for reading and the I take notes of information about the text. So looking at that first column of questions, we have why am I reading this text? What am I reading should I focus on? And then has the content information about the text, the structure and language of the text, and the author's view. So yeah, these are the key kind of key reasons for someone having a purpose to reading a text. So knowing the general content, understanding the structure and language that the author is using, and then understanding what the author is actually trying to portray in his own kind of viewpoint. Moving over to the next column, we can see that it's asking about what the title is, who the author is, what type of text is it. So this is more of the kind of facts surrounding the actual text itself. So yeah, so these questions focus mostly on the actual information that the book has on itself. So like the title, the author, and then the publisher. And so these are just good to know to get a general time frame, to understand what the author kind of wants his book to be portrayed as, and kind of an understanding of the author's history and how they write in general. So here we have our first little text to look at to help kind of strengthen your understanding of how to approach a text. So this is The Last Expedition by Robert Falcon Scott. So I want you guys to give this a quick read over, pause the video here, read the whole excerpt. So having read this text for the first time, we can approach it with certain questions that are going to help us to further understand it. So the first question we could ask is, what words or phrases are powerful or unique? And so throughout the text, you can see there's a large use of kind of very interesting and descriptive imagery to kind of portray what's going on. So you can see that when he's mentioning the seductive folds of a sleeping bag. Moving on to the next question we could ask is, what do the author's words cause me to see or feel? So having read this text for the first time, what kind of emotions or kind of feelings do you believe the author was trying to get you to feel after reading this? So I'd say after reading about kind of the vast and like the beauty he's depicting on top of the mountaintop, you can kind of be in awe. The next question we can ask ourselves is, what impressions do I get from one of Scott's short phrases? What other phrase offers a contrasting impression? So looking back on the text, you can see plenty of small phrases that kind of give you a certain impression. So some short phrases that kind of have an impression on me would be, for example, the gentle flutter of our canvas shelter. So that kind of gives you the imagery of kind of wind gently blowing through someone else's tent, causing a little bit of a stir. But then the following line kind of gives the contrasting impression with the quote-unquote deep booming sound under the full force of a blizzard. So it kind of has a contrasting impression of the forcefulness of a blizzard with the gentle kind of fluttering of a canvas shelter. The final question we can ask about this text is, how does Scott depict the blizzard and the crevasse mentioned in line 25? How does this set of images contrast with the depiction of the vast silence and marching column in the final lines? So looking at line 25, you can see that Scott depicts the blizzard as nature's protest and the crevasse as nature's pitfall. And so this set of images contrasts with the depiction of the vast silence and marching column. Since it depicts the vast silence and kind of the mellow sounds of a marching column, it shows it as more peaceful compared to the kind of harsh blizzard and crevasse that nature has given in front of him. Okay, guys, so that's what I have for you on approaching a text for the first time. I'll have more videos up later on, kind of focusing on questioning texts and furthering to develop your skills in reading stuff like this.